In this lesson, we're going to start a three-part series where we're going to be downloading, installing, configuring, and working with the Struts 2 web framework. So up to this point, we've been doing everything through standard JSP, JSP tags. We worked with filters, web security. We've learned how to build full MVC applications. And we have those tools in our toolbox now that we can actually go ahead and use them when we need to as we're building our websites. But as we get into more powerful and more advanced systems, we're probably going to want to start using web frameworks to help us to build more robust systems. We won't have time to go nearly into detail with the web frameworks that we would want to go into, but essentially what we're going to do is get started with one of those web frameworks, the Struts 2 framework, and then you can take it from there once that you've seen the power that a web framework can give you. The first thing we need to do is download a release of Struts 2. Struts 2 is available through struts.apache.org. You can go to struts.apache.org and go to the download link, which will ultimately take you to the release page. And we're going to go ahead and download the full distribution. So click on that, go ahead and get it downloaded. You can see when it's complete, it'll be in the folder, so we can go ahead and see that. And then go ahead and extract it right there into the downloads folder or into a place where you can store it, because ultimately we're only going to use part of the jars in these next 3 videos, and what we'll see is that there are going to be quite a few. So when we drill in here, we'll end up with a lot of jars that come along with the Struts 2 framework. Now these allow us to do other frameworks integrated into the Struts 2 framework, as well as other different components of the Struts 2 framework, which we aren't going to see in the examples in this course. So what we'll need to do once we're here is we'll need to get a subset of these jars that we're going to need for our purpose and keep these handy for the future in case there are others that you would want to pull in when you start adding functionality on your own. So once we have those done, you might be asking, well, how do I know what jars to use? Because of the fact that there are so many and we're going to use just a subset of them, I have included a Struts setup instruction in our project that we'll be using for these 3 videos, which is called World Manager with Struts 2. And so with that, Struts setup is just a text file. It has the link for the download in it, and you can get that through your resources. So if you go to the resources, you should be able to get World Manager with struts2.war. You can load it in, and it will be loaded in a non-working state. And in that case, you'll need to then take what we have here and do the things we're doing as well in this video so that it'll work on your system. What we'll need is to move the following jars from the struts into the Apache server library, which is where we've put our jars before, so hopefully we're pretty familiar with that at this point. But we have 3 ASMs. We have Commons File Upload, Commons IO, Commons Lang3, Commons Logging API, FreeMarker, JavaSys, OGNL, Struts2 Core, Struts2 Dojo plugin, and Xwork Core. And those jars are going to be the ones that we need in order to put them into our Apache library. So what I've done is I've already separated them out into their own folder so that I can have them ready to go. And all of them are here. So what I'm going to do is just select all of them. Again, ASM 3.3, ASM Commons 3.3, ASM Tree 3.3. And you can do this one at a time or all at once and get the 5 commons that we have listed here, as well as FreeMarker, JavaSys, OGNL, Struts2, Core and Dojo, and Xwork Core. So we'll need all of those. Go ahead and copy them or move them, however you want to do that, into your Apache Tomcat 7 library. I've already done that here, but you could paste that. Go ahead and give it the permissions you need to allow it to do that, and then you'll have those jars in place in the Apache library folder. So you can see that they're there, and they will be available for us to use in our project. So I'm just selecting them again so we can see them real quick. There's 3 ASMs, 5 Commons, a FreeMarker, a JavaSys, OGNL, Struts2 Core, Struts2 Dojo, and Xwork Core. So once we have all those in place, we have now correctly set up and downloaded our jars and moved them into our Tomcat library for our use. So we'll stop there. Once you have all this set up, go ahead and start part 2. And in part 2, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and configure our web project to work with these jars and set up the 2 files that we'll need, which will be a little change to the web XML and a new file called the struts.xml.